Hey! Being hundreds of meters below the rest of the map, the geode room may seem like the most secluded place in a deep scan mission or really any mission type in the game, but there's actually someplace even more hidden than that, and it's present on every map in every mission type. If you clip out of the map and go about 600 to 700 meters above the drop pod, you'll see this liminal space that resembles parts of the space rig. A liminal space rig, if you will. The one prerequisite though is that you have to use the Let There Be Light mod made by management. This mod uses level streaming to toggle on a universal directionless light, and I've linked to it down in the description. This lighting effect is great for filming cinematic videos, as it's a bit more subdued and realistic than full brightness in sandbox utilities, but you also don't have to worry about keeping consistent lighting with setting up flares and things like that. For example, we use Let There Be Light in our video, You're My Bestest Friend, which is easily one of my favorite short films we've ever made, so I'd highly recommend checking it out if you haven't yet. Let There Be Light doesn't just turn on a light, however, but rather through level streaming, it also loads in these liminal space rig map elements, which are built into the game but aren't present in the map unless this toggle is on. As a matter of fact, if you're standing up here and you toggle off the light, everything disappears and you fall into the abyss. So what's actually up here, you ask? Well, I'll link to an old video by Seals with a more detailed exploration at the end, but basically this area contains three things. It contains the backdrop for the various cosmetic and loadout terminals, where you dress and equip your dwarves. It contains the stage where the mission end screen scene plays out, which we just used in our video from last week, which I'll also link to at the end. And then finally, there's this minimalist recreation of the part of the space rig around the forge, which is where the forge animation plays out. But okay, so why does this area even exist? Well, that part I'm not really sure about. Maybe it saves on loading time for the end screen, maybe it serves as a toggle that the developers use when testing certain things in the game, or maybe it's just some sort of vestigial remnant that the developers forgot to delete. In any case, I certainly hope they never delete it, because it's a really fun area to explore, with a bunch of really weird, trippy quirks to it, like the fact that certain projectiles don't appear at all when you're up here. Aside from finding this area during missions, you can also view the area by using the Universal Unreal Unlocker, which I've linked to in the description, to interrupt these scenes when they're happening. By doing so, you can look around when forging, using one of the space rig terminals, or during the mission end scene. Interestingly, if you do this during the mission end scene and look around, there's actually a copy of you holding your primary weapon over at the cosmetic pedestal, and I don't know why. As for actually getting to the liminal space rig in a mission, there's a few different ways you can do this. The easiest is to just get there using sandbox utilities. You can press period to enter the free cam, scroll up a bit on your mouse wheel to increase the camera speed, bring your camera up to the liminal space rig, and then finally hit comma to teleport to the location of your camera. Since you've already got to be in a sandbox save to use Let There Be Light in the first place, you might as well do this too. If you don't want to cheat your way there though, there are two other ways to get there. One is to go into a salvage mission, because the shaft above the broken drop pod doesn't actually have a roof on it, so you can just special powder your way through the top, get up to around 600 plus meters, which takes about 20 shells, and then maneuver your way over to the area. Another option is to create your own break in the ceiling above the map. You can do this by calling down a supply pod above the line where compressed granite starts, because at this altitude, the supply pod shaft will go above the highest point where the game creates ceilings for shafts. Digging into compressed granite is not easy though, as it takes 5 hits and the holes you create are much smaller than on normal terrain. Plus, you can't drill into it or blast holes in it with explosions. So I'd recommend placing platforms up here instead and calling a supply drop down on that. For example, as an engineer on a deep scan mission, you can jet boot up here by yourself, place a platform, call a drop, and then jet boot to the liminal space rig. But you'll only have a limited time to explore before the drop pod leaves. However you do it, I'd encourage you to check out this area for yourself, because there may be more secrets up here than we found so far. So please let us know in the comments what you find, and in the meantime, check out this video on the left for more exploration of this area, or check out our 50-second spoof that we filmed in this area. Thanks for watching.